Okay, guys, so we are back to it. This is gonna be the third part of that reviewing my loss and journaling it in Notion series, maybe the last of it. And in the first one, we no, yes, we talked about this day and a loss which I took that day, human error, blah blah blah, है ना? And in the second part, which I have just recorded, I was not streaming in my Discord. It was me by myself. I actually journaled that day for to the side it printed how it should have been logically framed bullish higher. Okay? And now the third part, which I do not want to miss upon, is that how it should have been still framed even though it didn't work out in that direction. And you may not understand what I mean by this. So yeah, let's actually get into it. What I mean to say, first part was reviewing my loss, which I took by making a human error. Second part was journaling this day's price action, which I just did this as how it printed for how it could have been framed possibly logically. Third part, which is this current part, this is gonna be about how it still could have been framed in other ways which would have been 100% valid, but just the result would have not been even in our favor. And I know that condition was there in this day. And if I was like if I was early to the charts, I would have framed it that way as well without any regret, without like regretting the result, which would obviously not in my favor, which was obviously not in my favor. So yeah, let's get into it. Let me create another section for it. Duplicate this. Save it. This one's for bullet. Just a second. What did I just do? Done. Now let's get to it. What I am talking about is okay. Please forget about this for a moment. Price has reached into a relevant swing, huh? As a daily closer through it. Two things could happen at a relevant point. Either price manipulates off of it, either it fails to manipulate, which leads to two breakout through this, and price reaches for the next relevant swing. Simple and clear, है ना? Simple and clear. Now you tell me, or you won't be there to tell me, but okay. Just by simple looking, just don't complex it. NQ simply looks the cleanest if there is a short framework and the next day frames a daily profile aligning to that idea. NQ is in the closest proximity, and this looks the most plausible draw. है ना? ES still looks a bit farther away, but still valid, है ना? And this doesn't look like the first priority if you want to frame till there, right? You can see why. है ना? So the best, if we were to rate, first NQ, second ES, simply third YM, the way they are ordered in my templates, coincident, है ना? But you can actually see them, right? So anyways, all are valid, just that I would be a little, like, I would be favoring NQ a little more and YM a little less. So, and simple idea, daily closer through. Now I just need a next daily candle displacing away from this, and a low time frame true breakout forms at this, and the next daily candle displacing away from it, not returning towards it. Open high then in a way. I simply want OHLC daily profile. And to my conference, the best conference would be this previous day low, which would be the last line of defense, as if price forms something like this, open high reaches there. It can still form a bullish framework, rejecting that previous day low. If it displaces through that previous day low, which would be the last line of defense, if it wants to go higher, it displaces through that as well. That would be the best conference we could have. Frame it till there, right? Getting my point? Open high reaches there. If it wants to go higher, it can form a manipulation of a previous low to go higher. This is exactly what happened, but we have to think, previous day low getting displaced through would be our one of the best conference. So yes, anyhow, previous day low, the last line of defense, same here. For what we can see simply is price reaching into this relevant swing, not able to reverse off of from here, displacing through the opposing candles actually formed off of from there. This, then another set of opposing candles formed to this. So now this should hold. 10 am पे सबसे आगे. If this should hold, this enough range opposing candle, EQ of this should hold, which is exactly where EQ of previous day's range. This is previous low. I would want this to get displaced with the last line of defense for my best criteria to frame this trade. Got it? So here, price comes, reaches this, fails to reverse, and immediately closes through the opposing candle formed at that price level. I would want this to hold. If I would want this to hold, I would want this side to stay protected. Anji, बोल. 2 मिनट रुक. So yeah, getting back to it, I would want this side to hold, this side automatically rests above the previous day's EQ. I would anyhow want previous day's EQ to hold, and I won't want to see price displays much higher. And to my confidence, I would want to see previous day low getting displaced through, right? Okay, clear changing range of price reaches into one end. Okay, now reaches here, not able to reverse from here, closes to the opposing candle. Not the best time frame to view the opposing candle. Now better. Uh, Fails to return back and closes to the opposing candle made at this price level. So this should hold in order for the bearish price action to hold. This should hold. This should hold. Then the EQ of these opposing candles should hold, which is exactly where previous day's EQ rest. Now I would, to my confidence, we would want to see previous day low getting displaced through. We want to frame it till there. Clear. Okay. Let's get into it. Move these. This would have been my objective. Previous day low. This previous day low. Simple one-sided framework as of now. It could turn bullish, yes, but we would want to see previous low getting rejected for that. It could turn bullish, yes, but currently bullish framework hasn't formed, but bearish one has formed. We just need the daily profile alignment for that. And for bullish, it can form in the intraday. That is the thing. So for bearish, it has already formed in the previous day's range. Price reaching there, not able to reverse from there, closing through the opposing candles formed there, and a daily closure through that point. Next day, staying in respect to previous day's EQ, displacing through there, completely valid to frame as a high probable expansion day. Yeah, let's get into it. Already okay. Open high as you would have wanted. Now we do not exactly need to predict the high. We just need a confirmation in the New York to trade away from high of the day. Now we can actually trust this high, and we would want this high to hold. Why? Created what we wanted, open high, respecting previous day's EQ within its range, without actually tagging previous low. So yeah, meant to be a bearish day, open high, then low. Vice versa, open high, then reaching previous low, open high, then reaching previous low. Now we wouldn't wanna see it reject previous day low, as then it could form open low of a previous day low. Vice versa here. Rejecting, displacing through previous low is what we would want to see, and we would be good to go. Frame the idea we want to frame, and we would want this high to stay as the high of the day, and price continuing away from it, pressing previous low, giving us enough range opposing candle to frame what we want to frame, bearish till the objective. Simply, because previous low is the last line of defense, last level of relevance to us. This is what I said I would have been comfortable taking. But this, why am e- even from the daily, it wasn't my first preference, and even from M15, not something which I could trust. You can view NQ in a French opposing leg. It did create. It never created with opposing leg which I could trust. Just continuously expanding is what you can see. It actually expanded to then retracement, then shifting to again expansion mode. This is what I would consider a 10 on 10 entry, the best entry framework there could be. Displacing through previous low, not rejecting, showing lack of willingness to return back inside previous day lows range, and immediately displacing and closing through the opposing candles formed in the way. Vice versa for ES. These both are aligning. These both look completely valid, but first priority was anyways NQ, so yeah, remain NQ make much more sense. Result would have been same for both, but I would rate this the top quality entry. M15 closer, using this as a means of entry exactly as we made our plan. Following that is what matters. This is what I missed as I got late to the charts. This ended up going against us, but I would still rate it as a too good highest probability entry there could be. Like every there is nothing as 100% in this market. Everything comes with a probability. If I were to rate this from scale of 10, this would work like 7 to 8 out of 10, and that is considered a good probability. And this you can consider the case of those one or two cases where it wouldn't work, and so you gotta be ready to sacrifice those one two cases for to be able to get the reward or ride the reward in those 7-8 cases. This is 100% valid loss, proper valid setup, too good, high quality, highest quality. If I can say, I am not getting the exact words, the words would be less for how high probable this setup is. And if this fails, you can consider reassessing your bias, because these kind of entries should hold if the bias is right. If the day was meant to go lower, this should have probably hold. Not 100 but 99% I would say this should have probably hold. The day was meant to go lower, but the day as we saw in the part 2 part 1 was meant to go higher. Then a bearish entry failing on a bullish day, then it makes sense. Then it was just price that wanted to go higher, so then we can consider this failing justified because the price narrative was to go higher. Okay, so this is what I wanted to tell, and I would take this 10 out of 10 times if I would get it 10 times. So yeah, let's put it into the journal. Let's do it fast. 8:30 is on its way. यहाँ पे क्यों लग रहा है? जगह क्या है दूसरी? तू भी ऊपर चलना है यार. Oh, you take heat. This is good. Okay, sorry. मैं यहाँ पे डेली वाला वही उड़ाता हूँ now better है ना yes daily vice versa same daily candle closer through possibility of two breakout level could be considered. First for RTY, okay, let's look at it as well. More so the most bullish asset, but it too had very favor. For our chart, for why as Monday's daily candle was clubbed into Tuesday's daily candle due to Monday being a bank holiday. Tuesday sweeping out Monday's highs, so yeah, could have been considered if a bearish daily profile would have formed. For chart or one hour chart, this here, this, this could have been used to frame a bearish day lower from this previous day low. So yes, let us write this as well. I mean, wouldn't have been my first preference to trade this lower with the framework this as a failure swing higher, this all-time high as a failure swing higher to it. I would have rather preferred using this manipulation to frame it higher, like this. No, not the rest. Like rather, yeah, Orly. So this, then this, this is the framework, and this is rejecting this, and at the same time rejecting this as well. I would give my main relevance to this rather than just rejection of this. I want this to get displaced through in order to reach these values. Relevant swing, a relevant swing. Getting my idea. In your rocks. vice versa for this, vice versa for this, and I would this for RTY. RTY I would rather prefer being bullish. NQ yes, Prime still had the best framework, just that NQ had the best, Prime had the least. Yes, somewhere in the middle. RTY more so bullish than bullish. They did that already. Now H4 isn't necessarily needed, or it is. Yes, was good till there. Touching these. Displacing away from eye of the day and through this low would have been the necessary confirmation needed. Necessary was spelling through that. Really, what do you think? Yes. Now what? Yes, brother. Where are you? Vice versa, same story. So have to keep paste it. Where girl pressure you? Now good. Yes, brother. How are you, brother? same framework, it could sweep current high of the day potentially a bit less weak. Now NQ is seen the terms of range still above current daily open. NQ almost around daily open. See the weakness in this strength. Compare that with this. This has rejection. So yeah, NQ still the weakest. I would have anyways wanted this to hold. ES would have possibly swept this and then go again. NQ simply there still valid. So why this way of journaling is quite fast and how I used to journal a year back. अब जी इसमें EQ किधर गैप हो गई वेयर मैं काहे आपको मेरे साथ धोखा करती हूँ and the most rejection is on why I'm on the floor. Yeah, 6 a.m. displacing through this would have been the needed confirmation. It should be or actually the best way. Why am I happy at the same time, brother? I said most bullish. Oh, 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 I come in. want this to this. Wherever the British idea held, I would want this to hold. Oh, if more so waiting, I would rather prefer being bullish than British just by saying this rejection. So, want to claim something, then wait for this to get rejected or displaced. So as if this or current law of the day rejects the bullish framework, I would rather try to partake on that. If that fails, then I would consider this high for current high of the day, this as the interweek. If that bullish framework, which is already high probable, okay. Oh, oh, I can't hear, I can't hear, so I go feel it, feel it. हाँ जी, क्या हुआ है? दो. Just a second, guys. It for it. Okay, so yes, exactly where I would want to reject. Sorry, displace previous to previous unit. यार, please don't do this. Oh, Uncle, I will want mine to be displacing away from it. I have to take entry prior to 9:30 driver as well. So this is where I would exactly want to be framed within an entry. Framework prior to driver, driver expands. Yeah. So look to take an entry prior to driver. आँखों ही आँखों में ख्वाब। क्या ये इसमें ये था? फुटबॉल। I mean, looks good. Also makes me think 92 would at least sweep this or this, then go. But not an exact retracement prior to 93, which I could trust holding and driver expanding away from it. So driver would actually create a retracement leg, then go lower, even if the day was meant to go lower. So I would rather expect Ryan to shoot a bit up at 930. Mhm. Not the first preference, even from the early chart. Now it's best reigned. Thank you, looks good. RTY for bullish. Thank you for bullish. But I won't be able to properly monetize doing some work. Work. Previous day high 340, 477. Maybe not. This 7 points. This 7 is already exhausted. Why am brother? How are you? Are you good? 532. Be friend, but still very close. But I do think it still expands because it hasn't expanded all day. IM looks like yes, they're ready. It is ready. Yes, and YM I do think from the daily chart. RTY good to go lower. Still there. Here. Yes, and YM as I said, I would want to be framed with a new calendar. I haven't looked at much of the time frames, just daily and 15 as I can't for now. Okay, so let's wrap our work completely before 9:30 arrives. Let me paste first, and I will write later. Now, only and ऐसे अच्छा नहीं लगा हुआ है rather what was I supposed to do? And I'm TV. Okay, तो याद कर पर हाँ, like what I mean actually, if framework is set prior to 9:30, if a manipulation has been done, if the retracement has been done, 9:30 is supposed to do what? If the draw is still open, price has already formed a protected swing and already displaced away from it and formed the retracement leg. 9:30 is supposed to directly expand. If price is in a ranging condition, then you can expect 9:30 actually forming the protected swing. But when it is formed prior to 9:30 and the draw is still open, then 9:30 is supposed to expand. The driver has one job: either create a protected swing, if not created priorly. If created, then directly expand towards the draw. Either create the framework or either follow the framework. Hope you got my point now. Vice versa for ES. YM. Neither the first reference from daily chart, nor from the topic chart Like what I mean by this is simply this is more bullish than bearish. And so we demand, like, based on the framework above and below, how it is rejecting from there, and how the failure swings has been have engineered above, uh, rather than trading away from failure swings. Even though intraday week range is rejecting previous high, this low getting victory is clearly aligned with the daily, weekly charts. This is just from the hourly charts. Rather, preference will be this, how it is rejecting from there. Then immediately being aggressive on this. Aggressive, being aggressive should be considered on the idea properly, clearly, easily visibly aligned, is easily visibly aligned with the daily high time charts. And this you have to force. So rather let be bit more conservative, and let the idea you should be aggressive on, let it fail, and then let this form on its individual basis as well. Then frame it. Not frame it immediately here, frame it there, and the bullish would have properly failed. You wanna frame anywhere, na? Why try to lower your probabilities here when bullish can still be in full power? Just about probabilities and conviction. More conviction, more appealing the bullish one. So being aggressive on that makes sense, and being conservative on the bearish one makes sense. Now I'm 15. Let's go. And 15 would be the last step. Oh, nice. And 13. Nope. Nope. In hindsight, we could have said, but I would still say this too good. Enough time supposing like rejecting a high, displacing the previous low, clear closer to 100% value. This is something I would take 10 out of 10 times. Now expecting 930 to expand away from here. Already set a high of the day prior to driver. Already displacing through the last line of defense. Proper retracement leg prior to driver. Driver is supposed to expand directly. Mm, yeah, yes, same, but first preference would have been NQ, and I would take parcel before this gets hit, or when NQ hits this. Mm, Would try to. I wouldn't think. Maybe a 2 hour trade or NQ hits this. Already 9. Up my speed. Yes, done. Why am no idea, no entry, never songs. Never would have wanted this to. Okay. I mean, I could show यहाँ पे ये भी नहीं बना है ना नो fine पे I might wanna take it here as well as I anyways wanted Vim to reach height so Vim could sweep high of the day and still could go lower so I wanna do that as well at this high of the day idea also fits. So that will reject from in display. 40 भाई अजीब दोस्ती कहाँ शुरू कहाँ खत्म 45 में खुद है क्या मैंने इसमें डाला है पुलिस I yes I did complete journal this left कहाँ शुरू कहाँ ये dun 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 Anyways, मैं तो चाहता था bullish fail हो जाए. Bullish would have been still valid if this would have been rejected. I would have wanted this to get displaced to then bearish level. Continuing away from this, then I could have considered shorting till there. I do not necessarily need. The journal is complete. Yes, sir. 100% valid. Part 3, let me have a look at charts. No, then I could do what? Journal my exact position. Oh, after that, you can leave it and just use it to that. टाइम भी नहीं चाहिए ना मेरे को अब मैंने ठीक है टाइम भी नहीं चाहिए Just a second. Journaling that trade would take me like 5-10 minutes. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, I can rewind it. Huh? Ooh, better that better than NG at least. Yes, is something I'm most using. Mhm. Yes, yes, now comes the part of RTY. Okay, RTY, I do think long way yet. And the display there would be a complete to it. Okay, now let's get back to where we were. Great journal. Okay, now let me show you what I actually took. If you guys don't remember from the part one, this is part two. And let's use don't get it. Mhm. Mhm. As I told you, I came on the chart. Feel it? And that means I didn't even saw this. Didn't even saw this. I simply thought, okay, reject it. Go lower, yes. And frame this reframe from there. But until it may it goes. But if I have known and came with the charts bit earlier, I would have told myself this should hold if the relative is to go lower. And if this fails, I might reconsider my idea, and I do not want previous download to get rejected at the first place. That would be more bullish than bearish. So at this point, I turned aggressively bearish, which I should have been conservatively bearish because one invalidation, sweeping this, still valid, if it would have went again from there while this staying in red. Second invalidation, rejecting previous day low. Okay, rejecting. Third invalidation, sweeping high of the day. So three invalidations are something when you should be a bit turn from aggressive to conservative mode, and this you should look as more aggressive for being bullish. Previous Julu is rejecting. Now you should be just waiting for high of the day to get displaced through and not rejected. Simply you should have considered NQ is the weakest rejecting. So let us see if this is a retracement or reversal from here. I was aggressive that I want a reversal from here as I didn't look at this framework, so didn't knew about this one invalidation, this second invalidation, this third invalidation. So yeah, lower time frame entry wise, I could say just pattern wise my entry was right, but narrative wise that should have been a waiting game for till at least 9:45. As 9:45, by the time 9:45 comes, there would be a M15 closer which would tell if this M15 internal level is being respected or displaced through. If this would have been displaced through, then that means this reversal is getting paid more relevance than this internal level for bullish. And the next M45, M15 displacing away through this, displacing through this would be the confirmation. If bearish, if bullish, this getting rejected and M15 displacing away from this would be the confirmation. So being conservative for bearish, being aggressive for bullish would have been the choice, but I wasn't looking for bullish idea at the first place. I was looking, but at the second place, I can say. So yeah, I just came on to charts at this candle, and within 2-3 minutes of me arriving, this high of the day got immediately tagged. So yeah, plan was to plan to bearish from high of the day. This was my plan. Which was obviously wrong. Pre 9:30, second rejected US dollar, third violated as the have made these invalidations at the first play. Okay, let me show you what I actually framed. Like as I said, I got too aggressive with the entry, just this rejected, and the next continuation signature, this is what I took. Assuming this is reversal, but this was then retracement to then go higher. This is what I executed upon. not the ideal take. This ended up being a replacement, and I should have probably waited, and I would have waited if I would have came earlier and saw this getting failed as well. And this is a loss I would have 100% taken. This could have been avoided. And this yes, had one entry around 840. That is somewhat confusing. Prior 9. Although it has expanded away from there now, but okay, waiting game. Would love here and there. I was talking about this 3930. Now what I would rather want 930. I would want it to come in 1 minute. This see rejects this. Displaces through this. Would rather prefer spotting RTI. Rejects this. Informs somewhat. Then it is hasn't been found properly. Okay, 930 actually has the right. I missed, but okay, I was doing the work worthy which I could sacrifice a single good entry on ES or no worry. मैं आपको समझाने के लिए तो बोलूँगा मैं हाँ बट ओके actually राइट बोलना चाहिए all the entries would have been a partial point and obviously break even also one नहीं 15 पुत्र जी good boy man I would be watching it side by side let's back to conservative and aggressive say over election I could you गलत था तो नैरेटिव गलत है ये सभी नैरेटिव राइटर ऐसे गलत चल रही है गॉइस गॉइस पहुंच गया हमारा ये दोस्त थोड़ा सा दुख लगता है थोड़ा सा यस जे कहीं था पर पैसा लेता है यहाँ पे नो डिस्क्री वो पैसा लेता ओके नो बरीज कोई बात नहीं होता है बड़ी बड़ी बातें होती रहती हैं। I think we're still good to go till previous day. Huh? Let us see. This is what. Okay, till then we should complete. फिर ऐसा नहीं होगा क्या मैनेज करो फिर 9:30 post 9 college no none error error तो इधर लिख दिया what could I improve did manage loss could one loss M15 not wrong should have been a green day हाँ but ending that this is much better हाँ I could improve come to the chart sir do mm, mm, day and Just a second, guys. Just a second. Okay, now let's get organize moves or your plan whether you should be aggressive over an an idea or conservative. Don't rush anything. If you get late, the most important है ना, take your proper time and let the notes be missed. If they get missed due to being late, but don't bring in a rush. Done. मिस्टेक तो यही पे, मिस्टेक भी एक्चुअली प्रॉपर से करें कि एक तो कि लेट आया उससे मैंने वो नहीं देखा कि दैट इन, हाँ मिस्टेक भी करनी है, यस। कि M15 क्लोजर कि अगर बेरिश भी देख रहा था तो वो M15 closer through that M15 to know that if that was a reversal or that was a retracement, है ना? Yes, mistake, right? Got aggressive for women NQ bearish from high of the day after three invalidations and that much bullish willingness. I'm going the right way. Yes. उसके बाद क्या था क्या क्या था याद काहे नहीं आ रहा इससे शुरुआत एक सेकंड गाइस वन सेकंड I am doing something at the same time. Let's say that much. And with that, I should should नहीं यार should have been conservative. Logically And for that तथा M15 में just a moment. Remember guys, एक चीज देखो भाई, आपको भाई साथ साथ एक पोजीशन भी फ्रेम कर रहा था, पता है आपको? लिए आपके भाई ने 2 सालों बाद M1, क्योंकि आपका भाई ES लेना चाहता था, वो बना नहीं, ये बन गया। और इनकी जब आपके भाई ने बोला प्रीवियस डे तक, है ना, बहुत रेयरली आई वुड take what M1 entries. This, and the moment I saw it, it had already reached there. To my fortune, to my favor, it retraced a bit, and I saw it. And so I took it. Was the framework? This was the lower time frame framework, I would say. High time frame. Let's give you a short outlook. Last narrow defense for being bearish and bullish. I would want to see above this. Yes, first preference, but missed it due to this journaling thing. And ES reached here first. This objective is here first. NQ still pending. 945. If ES is the asset A, NQ is the asset B. So yes, still has the framework. NQ has the framework plus NQ. At 930 swept is low. ES doesn't, forming SMT, and NQ at the same time displays through this last line of defense and high of the day. Two good proper framework if you just look at NQ's individual framework. Daily chart, no bullish position has been formed after this day. This not a good day. So only bullish position that could be found was this day, today, because it was actually expansion to retracement to again expansion. Previous day as objective, not this. Simple idea again from daily chart being bullish. This getting manipulated. And why YM not YM? All 4H4 candles have been expansion candles, so I won't trade in the same direction. NQ, you can see the 4 within the daily candle range. This at the reversal, so Asia expanded, but London retraced. Previous session did what? Retrace. So next session can expand. Previous session didn't expand. If all 3 previous sessions would have expanded, I would have been uncomfortable trading the current session. You can see YM. All previous sections were expanding, so I simply didn't try to frame current session. Yes, previous session 6 AM was retracement, retraced into this previous candle's low objective. Although ES was the best, but NQ wasn't the worst at the same time. Again, same. This day formed somewhat position here. Next, couldn't form it there, right? 9 AM. This was simply no entry day for me, no participation day, ranging, and expansion into new phase, consolidation low breaks to then high, not something make it much complex. So I was actually multitasking doing this and like not trying to miss second entry, which normally I don't think I would take, but this isn't bad because of the framework conviction. I rarely take 1 minute entries, but because this is a framework I could get aggressive upon, है ना, ऐसा framework. So yeah, I did, but first entry I did miss as I was journaling and simply not looking at the charts was ESM5. I saw it a few minutes later and showed you guys. Then I saw NQ still valid for previous day high. Then on the left screen I had NQ on the lower time frame was doing this and watching NQ both at the same time. Oh yes. And for that, now let's officially complete this. And for that क्या हाँ should let's see if my recording is still on. Can't be. Yes, it is still on. Should have not taken the first signature after price rejects the higher they as price could do two things from higher the day retrace retrace then go higher again reverse bearish and waiting for M15 for 15 candle after 9:32 close to tell its retracement or reversal and let the next M15 candle confirm the idea with displacement in the right direction. Now good. Anticipation actual, I simply don't do this when I actually do not put this beforehand. I mean, I always make an anticipation, but I consider that a kind of cheating if I do it post market. Actual, actual, not limited to the daily chart. Sometimes you can have a anticipation over daily, but asset selection you could use hourly or 4 hours to tell if NQ, if yes, if YM, and that particular time frame for which you have a different thing, then you can put the actual here. Actual doesn't necessarily mean always daily chart. Sometimes you could have a thing on H4 or maybe H1 or maybe daily. uh, so you could have a different idea over different assets due to that specific time frame. Obviously narrative from the daily, but any different idea, any different thing from any time frame to see if that idea of yours got right on that particular time frame or not. Actual could be used for any time frame. Not going M3, M4. M15 could be used like, for if I had this expectation. NQM15 displaces this, displaces this, rejects this. So you can say I had this expectation, and this was my anticipation. See, this displays through, and next M15 go through. M15, I had this idea over M15, not daily. Then I can post the actual thereafter on the M15, or what I told live. Let's consider that this I could consider this as protected, है ना? Because of this range low manipulated away from this previous session retracement. Next session could be expansion. Enough of a swing I could trust. This is something here I can use M5 as well. I had this expectation, anticipation. This was the actual. Post this, है ना? After this, I mean post this. I mean after this, not click the image and post that. Post this, post this. I mean after this wala post. Like anticipation price will move away, and if I would get somewhere here and still here easily, then posting the actual on this, even M5 sometimes, but maybe not. You can do that as if suppose you have anticipations over 2-3 times in which are not exactly same, somewhat telling you that, somewhat telling you that, you can make an order for that, like the highest time frame above, then lower, so that when you put the actual images of them comparing this to the same order remains there, the highest above, then lower, then lower. Hope you got my point. Actual, therefore if I haven't put anticipation, I don't fill the actual as a journal. I होगा कर लिया मैंने कर लिया बेरिश कर लियो है, ट्रेड जर्नल भी कर लियो है. Yes, risk is somewhat not factor which I would consider now, as I am more so on a practice mode, so not the amount which I actually risk. So yeah, it was still managed under the limit. So yeah, asset selection is used when your idea was right, but just you got stopped and all assets went the right way. That's when you can consider an asset selection mistake. But this was a simply wrong narrative framing. If there is, then asset selection was still right NQ. It was just wrong narrative. If right narrative, suppose if I were to frame bullish, then if I would have got stopped out on YM that day, that would have been an asset selection mistake, because NQ and ES were simply better to frame them higher. Management didn't even go in my favor, so how could I manage it despite taking the stop loss respectfully? Post 938 no human error here. एक लेसन में मैंने कुछ कोट कर रहा था, लेसन का ही से डाल दिया मैंने, तो what should I do? Now let's fill the, यहाँ पे क्या था, टाइमिंग was 9:42, like before the 9:40. A mistake from there as well with the conservative value. Now I'm officially done with this. Now I can end the recording. RTY का मैंने दोनों आइडिया कंसिडर करे थे. Where this is what bearish, ना बेरिश उसके नीचे होता तो मैं प्रेफर करता. बुलिश का देखते हैं. Yes, I did consider. So I have actually completed the trade journal, the price action journal for both bearish and bullish side. But I missed वो भी कर लिया. और but my actual mistake how I could have improved it. So properly सब हो गया. Wrapping it up, part 1 was about actually knowing my mistake and how I could have improved it. Part 2 was simply journaling the day as it had printed, the bullish way. Part 3, which it didn't go but still valid, was journaling it the bearish way. You do not have to journal a day both ways. This day was valid to be framed both ways. That's why I did, and there was a valid entry framework for both sides. That's why I did it for both sides. So third part included that bearish framework top to down, and I thought why to make a part for include that in this part itself. That's why this session got a bit longer. Do that trade journal in this session itself of the trade I took, which was wrong obviously. It should have been done in the first part, but I forgot. First part was just about my trade, which was wrong. Second, journaling the price action as it was bullish. And third, journaling the price action as it could have been possibly framed valid. It still would have been valid bearish. So yeah, I am officially done with this. Nice work from there to there. And you can see the multitasking of your brother framed. You can say two positions or at least one position, so I properly framed two position if you consider that ES as well. मैं नहीं फ्रेम कर रहा आटी भाई अब. It could be framed but थक गया हूँ यार अब. सबसे बोल रहा हूँ बहुत ज़्यादा. But the framework is something that could be paid attention to. ये चोर. नहीं करूँगा ये अभी. यहाँ से बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है ना. अभी देखना ठीक है. रिकॉर्डिंग ऑन है, अच्छी बात है. डेली से दिखाता हूँ आपको टॉप टू डाउन. ठीक है, यहाँ से प्रॉपर लो. नेक्स्ट शुड फॉर्म हेयर. इससे ज़्यादा नीचे नहीं आना चाहिए. इट इज़ फॉर्मिंग हेयर प्रॉपर गुड. ठीक है, ऑरली प्रॉपर गुड. ठीक है, डिस्प्लेसिंग थ्रू दिस प्रॉपर गुड. हाई ऑफ द डे है ना 15. डिस्प्लेसिंग थ्रू प्रीवियस डेज EQ हाई ऑफ द डे. एंड 10 AM के अराउंड 9:30 से 9:45 रिट्रेसमेंट. 10 AM रिट्रेसमेंट ऑब्जेक्टिव मीट करके एक्सपेंशन हायर. अभी देखना है यहाँ से रिजेक्ट करेगा, यहाँ तक नहीं जाएगा. चोर है ये, चोर. चल जाए बट that won't be highest probable position that I could consider. Not the best position, could say. Now if you ask for the reason, let me tell you the reason. Consider one 4-hour candle. You can consider one 4-hour candle as a one singular session. One up close, two, three, four, fifth up close trading. Away from them, never. It is more of like expansion to again expansion. Nope. So these mistakes you sometimes are not able to spot on this time frame. This here looks properly valid, right? Properly valid. The best spot where it could go. And I do not think any other asset would have swept this with that too small wick for 10 AM at the same time. है ना, किसी ने नहीं. NQ almost came. इसने करा but see that large wick. है ना, and no objective higher as well. Hope you get my point. कहाँ था मैं? ये हाँ ठीक है। तो two good sessions. I recorded like two videos today, part two and part three today itself, and part three में मैंने ये भी डाल दिया. I thought why to make a part four है ना. So yeah, bye bye, have a nice day, राधे राधे.